now, so that'll be live in a second.
Looks it.
Yeah, I think something's happening. It's always, when you go live on Facebook, it's always, there's a bit of anxiety around, is it actually going to work? Let me go onto the Facebook page and just check that it has gone live. Looks like it has.
Well, it's telling me it has.
Hey?
It's telling me it has. It's live on Facebook.
It's live on Facebook. How good's that? We're live, so that's worked.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want that playing back, so I need to make sure that's not playing back. There we go.
There we go.
Cool. Well, welcome to those of you on Facebook. It's a pretty exciting day today. I've got a fairly amazing sort of guy coming onto the podcast today. So you're getting to see behind the scenes. We haven't pressed record yet, but I'm going to be pressing record on my podcast recording tool very shortly. So you're going to sort of see a little bit of the show preamble as I chat to Steve before we actually start the show. And then we're going to start the show. So you've got a bit of a look in behind the scenes as to what happens when I record a podcast. Plus, you're also getting the ability to be able to get this content earlier than anybody else by being a part of this group. So that's pretty exciting as well. I'm just making sure it's all working. Yep, I can see Cara has just told me we are live. Thank you, Cara, which means I'm getting the questions through as well. So that's the other benefit. So how you been?
That's cool. Yeah, we have a podcast with live questions.
We do. So I will encourage that, actually. If you want to ask questions live as we go through the podcast.
Happy to answer.
Yeah, I'll do my best to slot them in because that'll stop me having to think of questions, Steve.
You're not worth your money now. You can go.
You don't need me anymore. How good's that?
Now, the other thing that is good for them to see is what actually goes in the background of it all. Because a lot of people just think, oh, you jump on and you press record and that's it. Well, you're juggling the live stream. You're making sure that the recording's going well. There's a lot of things to pull all this together, and it's great for people to see, not to scare them, but when you get the hang of it, it's not that hard.
Just so they know that there's stuff goes on in the background.
Yeah.
So there we go. All right. All right, let's get this underway. I've got the live on my phone now. I'm just going to turn that down so I can see what's going on if anyone asks questions there as well. Although I should be able to get the questions over there. All right, by the way, this is the second time I've streamed live as I've podcasted, so I'm still working it all out. And I love your studio there, Steve.
Good. Yeah, just bought a new place while I was in Coronaville.
What's the funniest Zoom background you've seen since doing, this coronavirus thing?
I've had a couple of funny ones myself. But the thing was, and you'd appreciate this, being you and your son being fairly good video geeks, is in one of the previous houses we've always had video studios set up.
Yeah,
we'd have pull down black screen, white screen, green screen, and when my son had some assignments, one about Antarctica, we got his mates around and we got them all dressed up and rugged up and threw them into a green screen of Antarctica. They were acting. And then when he was really young, he'd dress up in Star Wars and I'd green screen him into a Star Wars episode.
Oh, really? How good is that? I saw somebody recently do a Harry Potter photo shoot with their stepdaughter. Did you see that?
No.
All these COVID-19 things going on. Well, I found myself a background of toilet paper. So that's my favorite at the moment. But it's not on this computer. It's on a different computer. But as you can see, mine's real.
Yeah, looking good.
I don't have a virtual background. I've got a real one, which means that I don't disappear as I move around.
Yeah, well, yeah, I showed you earlier the reason I'm not using mine. Mine is all set up for videoing behind me with cameras and everything everywhere.
Bit messy. All right. Well, I'm going to hit record.
Okay, mate.
You're going to hear me do the introduction. You know how this works. You've been on the show a couple of times before. And then we're going to get stuck into the show. So are you ready for it?
Yep.
Let's do it. Actually, what I'll get you to do is I'm going to hit record quickly. I'm going to get you to do your list. This is Steve Brossman. You can say something quickly about yourself, and then you're listening to the Business Brain Food podcast. So this is Steve Brossman.
Yep. I'll do it.
Yep. Are you ready to go?
Yep. Business
Brain Food podcast. So this is Steve Brossman.
Yep.
Just make sure we're recording. There we go. Yep.
Hey, this is Steve Brossman, aka the Authority Catalyst, and you are listening to the Business Brain Food Podcast.
Perfect. All right. See, that's how this happens behind the scenes, gang. You're getting to see it. When you listen to the final episode, it'll all be cut together nicely. Well, welcome back to the Business Brain Food Podcast. This, my friend, is the podcast that is 100% devoted to taking you and your business to the next level. And the good news is, doesn't matter whether you're just brand new to this business thing, so maybe just scratching that entrepreneurial itch, or maybe you're like myself and my guest today, and you've been in business for a long, long time, and you've got the scars and the wounds to prove it. No matter what, there is always something new you can do to take your business to the next level. And today is absolutely no different. I can guarantee you that. It's very, very rare that I get a guest back on the show that's been on here previously, let alone been on here a couple of times before. I can't wait to have Stevie B come on and share a bit about his Corona Slingshot theory with you very, very shortly. Now, before we do that, just want to remind you that today's podcast is brought to you by Maxmyprofit.com.au. If you want help to build the business that you imagined, maybe you've got a business that is nothing like you thought it was going to be. It's stressful. There's no cash flow. It's not fun. You're not sure what to do, but you imagined something that was a lot more enjoyable, that gave you the freedom and the money to do what you wanted with your life, but you haven't got that, and you want to build the business that you imagined, head over to maxmyprofit.com.au and talk to the team about helping you build the business that you imagined. On another note, if you love the podcast, head across to your favorite podcast player, leave an honest review or rating. We do read them all. We love to hear from you. So please do get over there, leave your ratings, let us know what you think of the show. And on a final note, I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but you can head across to the Business Brain Food Facebook group. It's a private group online with a bunch of entrepreneurs in there having a good old chat, and you are missing out. And in fact, this podcast is being live streamed in there right now. So they're getting early access to this content. You could be as well by being in the Business Brain Food groups. Head across to Facebook, just search in groups for Business Brain Food and join the movement of people over there learning more about how to take their business to the next level. All right, today's guest is an amazing guy who I have had on the show a couple of times before, and really, he doesn't need any introduction, but I'm going to give him one because he's definitely worthy of it. He's hosted and produced his own show on Channel 9 before, so he's no stranger to the camera. You'll see this today. He's been an exec producer for Warner Brothers. He was named the International Video Marketing Influencer of the Year in 2012. How cool is that? Built 3 separate 6- and 7-figure multinational businesses, and I know one of them had a lot to do with bums. We might talk about that. We did last time. And he's written 3 individual #1 Amazon bestsellers and been contributing author to another 5. And earlier this year, he was featured and published alongside 40 of the most innovative marketers globally. And that special guest today is Steve Brossman, or we love to call him Stevie B. Welcome to the Business Brain Food Podcast,
mate. Buddy. Stevie B is in the house. Let's go.
Hey, mate, you doing well?
Mate, I'm doing exceptionally well. Yeah, it's a funny time, and being an ex-sprinter and an ex-football player, I love keeping momentum and being agile. So that's what you got to do in business.
Well, it's what it's all about, isn't it? Now, I saw the other day, it's all things Corona right now, and I saw the other day you do a Facebook Live on your page, which I encourage people to go and check out as well, on what you call the Corona Slingshot theory. And I thought, you know what, it's going to be a great opportunity for us to share that with the Business Brain Food listeners, because I know a lot of people are struggling with the whole Corona thing right now. And some of it is mindset, some of it is reality, right? It's marketplace. Some people just don't know where to turn. And for some, it's the first economic downturn they've ever been through before. You've been through 5 in the past.
Yes.
Mate, tell us a bit about your entrepreneurial journey. Let's kick off there, and then we'll get stuck into talking about the Corona Slingshot. Sounds like a good cocktail, by the way.
It does sound like. Well, I probably wouldn't like a cocktail with Corona in it, but anyhow, it's something to think about.
Yeah.
I did something really sensible back in 1983 at the beginning of one of the downturns when interest rates were 17.5%. I invested well over a couple of $100,000 of mine and my family's money into setting up a health club, and basically put my parents' house on the line. And that was the start of it all. I was actually training for the Olympics and crushed 3 discs in my back. And while I was in rehab, I fell in love with the fitness industry, and I thought, I could do this. Off I went. Opened up the doors, and lo and behold, there wasn't queues of people outside. And I thought, I need to do something about this. Otherwise, we're all going to sleep on the street. So basically, I invested way back then. I don't know what the calculations are going to be, but $1,500 in 1983 in a marketing course. and there was lots of different things. And one of the funny things was, I haven't actually shared this. It got my attention because it was all about how to turn yellow into gold. And that's when yellow pages were big enough to be doorstops.
Oh, okay. Back in those days.
Back in those days when, you carry 2 volumes of yellow pages. But that was the start of it all. And that marketing was all around, being different, standing out. And that really catapulted me into creating a lot of the different businesses that I had and being able to take them online. Lo and behold, I didn't realize that I kept applying a lot of the principles in everything that I did. Basically, be different, do things differently, and really standing out. And so much so that, as you said, I've created a number of multinational businesses, franchised a kids club into 5 countries, a weight loss program into 2 countries. And and now I'm utilizing a lot of all that I've learned in those 5 downturns. And that's what, as you said, a lot of people, this is their first one. And they think, life isn't always rosy. No, but in all of those 5, it was the 80s downturn. It was the Paul Keating's 90 recession we had to have. It was the dot-com bubble. It was the 9/11 and also the GFC. Have basically lived and actually grown businesses through all of them. And that's what I want to share with the people today. It's, if you look at the patterns and if you've lived through the patterns, you know what to do. And sticking your head in the sand and hoping it goes away quickly is just definitely not one of them.
Yeah. So I think even though right now it might feel a little helpless, there's a bit of hope there, isn't there?
Well, I really do think we've been fortunate. We've potentially dodged a huge bullet. They're already saying they're looking at relaxing some of the restrictions. Now, when you look at the economic indicators, the downturn of the economy is still coming. It's still going down. And if you could visualize the down and the up, what you need to do to get up to the next hill is maintain and increase your momentum now. As a former track sprinter, one of the things I never liked to do was start at the bottom of the hill and run upwards. It was always good to have some momentum. And that's what people need to look at right now. What is it that they could do to really maximize their positioning out there in the marketplace while their competition is shrinking and hiding and doing very little? Because the old saying of, if you do what you've always done, you get what you've always got, is totally rubbish now. If you do what you've always done, you're going to get nothing. And that's it. So you can't do what you've always done. You've got to look at, what is it that I could do differently and how can I increase my momentum?
So during these other downturns that you've been in, Steve, was there ever a time when you felt like giving up? Like it did, because there'd be people right now that I know are feeling that. Some people have given up, right? They're just going, it's all too tough. Has there been a time for you when you're at that point? I mean, it sounds like you had your Olympic dreams crushed as well. Sorry, pardon the pun.
Yeah. Well, I got into business by accident.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good one.
No, and it was a real accident. So tell me what, and I suppose you can smile about it now because you've had, you've been very fortunate to get to where you are, and it's probably, everything's because of your, I guess your mindset, you've ended up where you are. But was there a time during any of those downturns where it just all seemed too hard?
At times it's often seemed very hard, but never too hard. And I'll give some people some things. And this is out of my book called Exceed, How to Exceed Your Own Personal and Professional Expectations. It's the last of my books. And it was basically a look back at everything that I did and how the heck did I achieve it? How did I go from a kid that was born almost with deformed legs, bandy legs, to become a national track champion? How did I go from being lying on my back, not being able to get out of bed because I crushed 3 discs, to open up a health club and do everything that I'm doing now? And the first thing is belief. And one of the things that they've got to do is actually have belief in themselves. And one of the best ways that I encourage my people, and I'd love to give it to yours, is write down your champions list. Write down 10, 20 different things that you've done personally, professionally, in business, in sport, you know, whether it was you were a scared kid, but you climbed across the monkey bars, or there was a pretty girl or guy there and you wanted to ask them out and you did it and you didn't die, or you've built a successful business, or you've done some sporting achievement. Just write them down and you look back at them and you say, you know what? I've done some stuff. I believe in myself and I can do that. And once they can turn that around, that they've actually got belief back in themselves and say, well, you know what? This isn't going to beat me. I can believe in myself and I'll actually get out there and do it. And that's one of the first things. Yes, have belief.
Have belief, definitely. And I mean, I think mindset is such a powerful thing. I love that saying by Henry Ford, which is whether you think or whether you can or whether you think you can't, you are right.
Absolutely.
And I think it's one of those cases. Now, you're talking about you like to have momentum and you don't want to start on the uphill. You like to get a bit of a run up first. Do you feel like we're not already going up the hill? Because I think for some, I reckon they feel like they're already had started that uphill battle and they haven't started running.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a downhill, we're all cruising. Pretty well everything feels like an uphill battle, but you've got to, now's the time that you've actually got to have the momentum. And that's actually one of the things that I set in the book itself. It's the third principle, is set momentum goals. Because one of the biggest things that we're feeling right now is we're feeling like we're losing. We're losing the battle. And Professor Ian H. Robertson said, and he wrote the book on the winner's effect. When animals and humans have a kill, have a win, there's a release of dopamine and testosterone in the body. It makes you feel stronger and it makes you feel better. And that helps animals to go from bigger to bigger to bigger to bigger prey. And if you keep having that winning effect, then that's going to have a physical, physiological, and psychological effect on you. They've actually said that the brain alters if you keep having this winning effect. So I tell people to set momentum goals. Set a goal that you could smash through, and set the goal, but then set tasks that you can actually exceed. What can I do today that was a little more than is needed? What can I do that's a little more than is needed? And bit after bit, you'll actually get to that goal with greater momentum, or get there earlier, that you're smashing through that one and slingshotting, which I use in the book, slingshotting onto the next goal with momentum, with that winning feeling. So set tasks that you can get up each day and say, you know what, if I get that, I'm winning. I'm winning. And once you have that winning feeling and momentum, then you're going to really excel. I've been coaching a guy who just swears by the momentum goals. And he says it's what's got him through the last 3 months and being able to help pull up a $500 million deal in America in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, okay. So it's a pretty important thing. And I think what you're talking about there, because what I've identified through my years of coaching, sometimes people can get so fixed on the big goal and it feels so far away, they're not monitoring what they get done today to get towards it. And I talk about Mount Everest, a very similar type of thing. Mount Everest, to get to the top of Mount Everest, it's 8,848 meters. But you're not going to get there in one day. So what you need to work out is, if I do X today, am I on track? Am I on my way? Is that what you talk about, sort of like milestones? Is that what you talk about, momentum goals?
Yeah, you set the milestones, which is achievable. You set the big goals that they are actually achievable and believable. They've got to be a stretch, but they've got to be achievable and believable. Yeah. And a lot of people set hairy, audacious goals, never actually believing. It's like, well, saying today, well, I've only ever walked around the block, but you know what? In 6 weeks' time, I'm going to run a marathon. So they go out and they do their training. And at the end of week 1, they're already a loser. They're already feeling as if they're a loser. Whereas instead of setting a big goal that is achievable and then another goal that is a real stretch, but then set a plan, what am I going to do today that is more than is required? What am I going to do today that is more than is required? So you're actually getting that momentum going. In fact, it's funny you mention Mount Everest, because a lot of people set goals with the mountain analogy and metaphor. I actually do it the other way. I say, just think that you're at the top of the mountain setting a goal, because if you're at the bottom of the mountain, it's wider, it's flatter, and you're getting to the top of the mountain, it's harder and narrower, which basically means you got to go and achieve it by yourself. On the flip side, if you're at the top of this snow-capped mountain, you start a ball rolling. It starts gathering momentum, gathering speed, getting bigger. You've got a bigger team around you. And then as you're getting more and more speed, more and more people are going to come and join in. Obstacles that start getting in the way, you can smash out of the way because you've got momentum going. And the big imagery is you get to the bottom of the hill, which is your goal. You smash through the bottom and you're already halfway up the next goal. And I just like to flip goal setting on its head and think of it as another way and just say, well, listen, and that's like today. You know, there are so many things, but if you just, you know, how do you eat an elephant?
Well, one bite at a time. So
one bite at a time.
So what do you see happening out there at the moment? I mean, you're working with a lot of high performers, and you mentioned before a lot of people, or the competition you said were, you know, battening down the hatches and we're not doing anything, we're contracting. Is that what you're seeing happening right now?
Yeah, and it's great. It's great for the people that I'm coaching.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, the guy, I don't know whether I foresaw what was coming, but right through February, I was actually starting to put out more live streams, and I do my Momentum Monday and my Finish Hard Friday, and traditionally it was 2. But at the beginning of March, I just said, well, hey, listen, I'm going to do Momentum March, 1 live stream every day, and then take some of that and put it on LinkedIn. So I really ramped up my visibility, getting out there, communicating with people, just sharing what you're doing now, just sharing some good thoughts and tips and connecting with people. And people just, it's simple. You get out there, you create your visibility, you share some good information. Sooner or later, people will say, you know what? I really enjoyed what you said, which is what I got from a lady in the UK last week. The Monday she contacted me and she said, Steve, I've been watching your videos. Can we connect? Yep. We booked in a time, and I thought she was joking and she missed it by a little bit. And then we had another time. She actually got up at 1 a.m. in the morning, London time, had a shower, dressed up in a nice business suit to be on a 1:30 a.m. call. I thought this one lady was committed. But if I hadn't have been doing those daily live streams, if I hadn't been putting myself out there more than I'd ever done before, then that would not have happened. And that's one of the things that I'm really pushing for people to do, is become more visible, because there's going to be gaps out there for people to take the spots.
I remember, and I don't know if you can recall what this was. I remember reading a book some maybe 20 years ago, or maybe 15 years ago, and it talks about a fellow who had a hot dog stand and was a really successful hot dog stand, and there was a recession coming, and his son said to him, stop advertising. No one's going to buy your hot dogs anymore. And this is what he did. So he stopped advertising. He listened to his son, and his business in the end failed. And it was because he believed there was a recession coming, and he prepared for that. To me, what it sounds like, have you heard that story before? I can't remember where I read it, but.
I have heard that story, but I'm going to take that, if you don't mind me jumping in. There's a great Zig Ziglar story in his phenomenal Southern accent. He said these two insurance agents are walking down the road in the middle of a downturn, and one said to the other, hey, Bob, how you doing? Things are terrible. They're crook. It's been my worst month ever. And the other guy said, man, I'm just having the best month ever. Sales are through the roof. It's fantastic. And the first guy said, don't you know there's a recession going on? He said, yeah, but I just decided not to participate.
Yeah, so good, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that's the key and I call it looting, business looting. Now, I know looting's not a good thing, but if you think about the opportunists in something like when a cyclone goes through a city, or even with the bushfires that we had here in Australia, there was people that were doing the wrong thing, they're running around and robbing people's houses, but they're opportunists, right? And I think in business, there's a way to do that with integrity. And that is if your competitors decide to batten down the hatches and hide through the storm, and you're willing to get out in the storm and weather the storm, then there's a lot to be had, I think, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's also looking at things differently. because there are, I call it, the new needs that are out there. And people there that have got Perspex factories that were just basically making signs and things like that were run off their feet doing 24/7 shifts, making new shopping center checkout frames, people that are doing plastic visors. All these different industries can see things that are popping up. And a lot of the people that you and I both work with in small to medium-sized businesses, they look at things differently. And one of my clients, air conditioning people, it's dropped. But on the other side of the coin, they worked with a pharmacy and somebody kicked the plug out. And because they actually didn't have a refrigeration monitoring device in there, they lost all of their medical supplies. And that's one of the things they're actually doing now, is now they're selling remote commercial refrigeration monitoring so that people don't lose. There was one opportunity that just popped up and said, wow, we are refrigeration specialists. We do have this technology. Let's get out there and promote that part of the business. So it's a matter of looking for the new need and still being able to provide value within your range of expertise.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot has changed, but still people are still buying stuff. I know you ride your bicycle, so I see it on Facebook where you challenge yourself. And I've got my bike out and dusted it off, as have many people, right? And I know this because the local bike shop, I rang them up about getting mine serviced because it's got a bit of a problem. And they said to me, you can bring it in, try not to bring it in on a weekend. And if you do bring it in, we're not going to be able to do anything with it for about 4 weeks. And I said, why is that? He said, we are busy. Anyway, I drove past you on the weekend. There was this huge queue of people outside to go in to the bike shop.
Yes.
I'm thinking, what's happened, like you said, there's Perspex screens now having to be made for checkouts. There's people that are now working from home. So, I know that you can't buy a webcam anywhere. Like office furniture, like home office furniture sold out everywhere. So there's a lot of opportunity, even if that's not what you do normally. Maybe if you change a bit about how you produce or what you do in your business or what you manufacture, you might be able to take advantage of that. So I think you got to think down that track. Now, one of the things you talk about or you were going to share today was the one big mistake you think that people are making. Can you share that one big mistake with us and how to overcome it?
Well, the one big mistake is actually not putting themselves out there and not being visible. And the old saying of working in your business, we both know that that's gone, and you help a lot of people work on their business, creating the systems and helping them grow. And Michael Gerber came along with the E-Myth and said, you got to work on your business. One of the biggest things that you need to do now is actually work over your business. Somebody there has to be the face, the figurehead, to get out there and communicate it, because it was just over a month ago, and I was helping my people create their positioning and get their message out there. But I was in a referral group, 10 of us, and 2 of them were digital marketers, and they both said that they're run off their feet with people having to take their business online. So they're creating shopping carts, sales funnels, all of those sorts of things. All that technology is fine. But in these times of isolation, people actually still want to communicate with people. And the biggest mistake is just relying on technology to do it, not creating that personal relationship. And that's the biggest thing that people can and should do is, they've got the webcam, they've got the biggest weapon we've ever been given is our phone. Shooting just with your phone, and to be able to position you as that person and communicate so people can connect with you. And once they start connecting with you and creating a relationship with you, your competition is going to be spat out to the side. If you're going to be the person that takes the time, that connects on an emotive level by just giving them great quality videos or tips, live streams, podcasts, then they're the people that are going to stand out and get the business. The biggest mistake is not to do that. And they just think, oh, well, I've got a shopping cart and I've got a sales funnel. That's good enough.
Yeah. And you do see that happens quite a bit. I think Right, I don't know if you've seen the stats either with Facebook or with social media lately, but the number of users and the user sessions has gone up. So there's more and more people because I guess everyone's at home and wondering what to do with their time. So the number of sessions have gone up. The other thing that we've found, because we did not turn off our ads on Facebook. We use Facebook advertising quite successfully in our business, makes us millions of dollars in sales. And I just decided I'm not going to switch it off. Let's just see what happened. Well, our acquisition cost per lead went down, and I mean dramatically.
Wow, nice.
About a 40% reduction in acquisition cost per lead. So, it just, what you're saying, I could back that up with a bit of facts, is that people are online and they're looking for things to do. They're looking to be entertained or educated. I'm sure online courses have probably gone through the roof. And how many people now are used to using things like Zoom?
Yeah, well, Jeff Walker, the creator of the product launch formula, is just launching another one. And he said that month in, month out statistics, sales and conversion rates are up 36% on online training this month compared to last year.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So, yeah, we're in tough times, but people are buying online training, online things. So when people are connecting, and if they need to actually create that personal connection as well. In fact, funny story, well, not a funny story, but somebody came to me a while ago, they were referred, and they actually sold glass balustrades and pool fencing. I mean, they're significantly brown box selling. And they said, well, we're told to come to you. You probably help fix our sales funnel. I thought, I don't do sales funnel. I'm not the technical person. But when I looked at it, it was like, okay, you're selling the wrong thing. And this is a great lesson for your people. What do your people really want? So they were actually just selling boxes of stuff, nuts and bolts and glass, the same as Bunnings, the same as all of those other people. But what they also did have was some online training, videos, those sorts of things. So we reshot their landing page videos. Instead of saying, hey, have a look at this beautiful big warehouse full of lots of boxes of nuts and bolts and glass, to, hey, you know what? We had a call the other day from somebody who was just having some trouble. We opened up the warehouse, we showed them the training videos, and they got to build their fence. We repositioned them, instead of just being glass DIY, to leaders in self-installation. The videos were connecting when somebody clicked on their website. Hey, thanks for connecting with us. Paul's working on your quote right now. While you're here, have a look at the extra support that we have for you when you work with us. So another great lesson for your people, instead of selling the nuts and the bolts and the processes and the stuff that you do, what is it? They sold support, service, and confidence. Within 2 months, they broke sales records, and they sold a complete month's worth of stock in 9 days by just changing it around and connecting with the people instead of just selling the stuff.
Yeah, experience. I was watching a special. No, it wasn't a special. I was in America just before the lockdown came on. In fact, I made it just before you had to have the 14-day self-isolation thing. And this is where I heard this. There was a guy who worked alongside Walt Disney and with Disney World for many years. And he was talking about the fact that they made that place about an experience, and that no one was a client, no one was a customer, everyone was a guest. And I've seen other companies now do that. Now I'm picking up on it. I see it happening, but it's an experience. And I remember I did a bit of an exercise reading through the collision repair industry's reviews online. I do a lot of work in the collision repair industry, being a panel beater myself by trade. And it was interesting. I read through all the positive reviews, and not one of them mentioned the amazing equipment that they used to fix their car. Not one of them used the technology they were using in the paint to paint their car. What they spoke about was the experience that they had in dropping their car off, picking their car up, dealing with the person at reception. Was all about the experience. And I think that's what you're talking about, isn't it? But are people now struggling with that because they're forced to do business online?
They're definitely struggling with it. Absolutely. One of the slides that I've used forever and a day, from way back in the video marketing only days, was people don't buy your products or services. They buy how they feel before, during, and after doing business with you. And that's the biggest thing. And talk about the experience. That's exactly what we say. Where can we, and I've got a brand new company that's working with me, and I'm working with all of their people. They set up the things. They say, Steve, we need you to guide them where to put the video touch points in so they can deliver the experience. And one of the things that I get my people to say is, what do I want them to feel right now? So, I mean, when was the last time your digital marketer, the guy that does it, well, you're probably different. They may do that with you, but most website developers, and they never say to their people, great, what is it that you want them to feel when they land on this page? What do you want them to feel when they do this? They don't do that. And all the way through the customer journey, building that experience is, how can we enhance that now? Because we're not face-to-face, belly-to-belly, handshake, eyeball to eyeball. It's how can we do that? And whether it's direct video emails or direct communication videos is one of the most important weapons that people can actually use. And when you get it right, it makes a massive difference.
Well, let's talk about that if I can, because I know, and hopefully you can share a bit about it, because I know you train a lot of people. One of the things, by the way, with Steve has not only been on my podcast a few times, he's worked with my clients, and I've known Steve a long time. He's very, very good at what he does. You've got the master here. So I'm going to see if we can pick his brain for some ideas. And I know if people want to too, you've got a course coming up that you're running as well, haven't you?
Yeah, and it all came about because of those two digital marketers saying, we're doing this, but we're not doing that. And I said, well, what if I put a program together to help your people? And then I said, well, I'll help lots of other people. It's called the U factor, the online U factor. Who are you and how do you best communicate? It's going to be just a very simple 10-day masterclass. They get the information, they got some online training, and then I go through 7 separate live trainings day after day, giving them tasks, helping people overcome their fears of the camera, what to say, how to say it, where to put it, just really getting them to the point of saying, you know what, I can do this and I know what to do and I can get in front of the camera and do it. And that's one of the things that if I can get them over that first hurdle, then they're going to be able to really take it to the next level.
And what have you found that works really well to get people comfortable with that? Because I know a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. Is it just practice? Is it encouragement? Is it coaching? Like how do people get comfortable with that?
It's black magic.
Of course,
I've actually got a secret formula that's not going to be too secret, because what people don't realize is their fear of the camera is not the fear of the camera. It's the fear of watching themselves back. And once they get over that, then everything starts changing. And here's, in the next 2 minutes, I'm going to share what's going to be in the course so they can listen to it now. One of the key things is it's not psychological. People think, I've got to get over my fear. No, it's physiological, because you look at yourself in the mirror. I look at myself in the mirror, not all day long, but whenever we do look at ourselves, the left-hand side's on the left-hand side, the right's on the right. When we look at ourselves back through the camera, it's reversed. But that's over there and that's over there. The brain doesn't like it. It says, hang on, that's not what I'm used to. That's not me. Yuck. I hate the way I look. It's not that you hate the way you look. It's the brain says, no, you're back to front. I hate it. So I've got a secret formula that I'll go through very briefly, not give the exact amount, but it's basically, you got to shoot a video. I'll say it's 3 by 5 by 5, a quick 3-minute video. Watch it 5 times, because that starts telling the brain that is me. And listening, because sound waves are compression waves, and it travels different through solid and liquid, which is inside than out. What you're hearing back is what we hear all day long. So you've got to get the brain used to that as well. And then you can look at it and you think, you know what? Oh, that was a little bit boring. I'm going to put a bit more energy into it. Just layer it a bit. Shoot the same video, watch that back 5 times. You think, oh, I could probably do this and get a bit better. And then you do that and you repeat the whole process 5 times. Most people shoot too many times and don't watch it enough. It's when you watch it, the brain accepts it. And when the brain knows what's coming through the camera, your videos go through the roof.
Yeah, they'll go better. Did you, when you were back in Channel 9 days and you produced that show, did they have, I mean, they're all very polished, right, on telly. So I think that sort of puts a bit of fear into people because they go, well, I'm not that good. But you got to remember these people do it every day of the week. But do they have coaching? Do they have people training and coaching them to how to present and what to say, how to stand?
Ours was shot off site, so we actually didn't do it in there. But I'll take the trip back a lot further. I first got into TV in '84 when I pitched to Channel 3 in Newcastle, NBN3, to be on the Big Dog and Friends show, to put a kids workout segment on there.
Dog and Friends show.
The Big Dog and Friends, yes.
The big dog himself, yes.
Oh, I copped some flack over that, let me tell you. But anyhow, the thing that, because I was good live, I could have 300 kids in front of me, and I did what I thought was pretty cool. And I thought, they're going to tell me to tone it down. You're a bit over the top, too energetic. I got up in the video studio to watch it being edited, and I said to myself, shit, that's boring. What I thought was happening on one side of the camera didn't come through. And that was my first lesson. I thought, damn it. So week after week after week, I did that formula over a period of months. And I gradually got better, and I would spend hours hanging around the set, watching what they were doing, picking up on the presenters and how they were editing, how to use the positioning of the cameras and things like that. So I did my hard yards way back, but I did those exact same yards. I had to learn what was coming through the lens and picked up on all the people around. Basically on the same show for 2 years. So I got to be a fixture at the network and got to go in and out and watch a lot of really cool people. So I studied how I could best improve myself. And they're the tips that I'm passing on.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Because I think, and that's the thing is I love a saying, I'm into photography, right? And I think it's the same in video or podcasting or anything, right? There's this saying by Henry Cartier, who was a famous photographer many, many years ago. I'm pretty sure it was him. Somebody will correct me if I'm wrong. But he said the first 10,000 photos you take are your worst.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same with everything, isn't it?
Well, the fast track, the interesting thing when I do, and we do 2 and 3 day live video training, and I want to shortcut it for the people who come along to do the U factor. And that 3x5x5 is roughly a 40 to 50 minute, 1 hour roughly. It fast tracked the pain that I went through over several months, but it's exactly the same thing. You've got to shoot it. You've got to watch it. Okay, I can get better. By the end of that 1 hour, and there's one more other layer that we put into that, they will know what they're doing and get to that level. Because if I'd have told you first time in front of the camera, hey, you've got to be doing this, this, and this, and you think, I don't feel comfortable doing that. But as you put layer upon layer upon layer, you get to that point, it's like, oh, that feels okay. And it's very powerful. It just switches people.
And what are the other things they're going to learn? So you're going to teach them how to present and be comfortable in front of camera, which I know you're a master at because I've seen you do this before. What other things are people going to learn in the U Factor course?
Well, basically scripting and how to connect with the people. And one of the things that I've been doing a lot of and studying is how people react and how you can get people, and I'll call it the addictive audience. And again, it's how you make people feel. And how the feeling are chemical reactions within the body, and people just don't realize that. And it's how you can manipulate those or stimulate those to get them through. A great friend of mine used to go to a coffee shop. The coffee was crap, but the guy sang to her. And she was addicted to the chemical reactions that are going on within the body. Now, you and I both exercise, and they say, well, yeah, exercise is a drug. People are addicted to exercise. No, they're not. They're addicted to the release of endorphins and analgesics, the chemicals that happen within the body. And they say, well, there's a wave of emotions going over that person. It's a wave of chemical reactions and endorphins and hormones that are going over the body. People don't realize that anything that you feel emotively turns into a chemical reaction. Now, people that are out there in COVID land, could be depressed. Why are they turning to videos and YouTube and social media? It's because of what happens in the feeling that they get from it. They can't have the good feeling of a hug, and they turn to the feeling they get from their social media. So if you're that person and you know how to connect and present, whether it's, at the beginning of the video, you're feeling empathy and you're leaning in and your eyes are a little bit down and you're closed, and you start developing, you start getting excited, and you get the people coming along with you and say, I want to be with that person. There's one saying that I want the people to remember when they start doing videos. It's personality and passion, not perfection, that produces profits. So people think, I've got to get it right. No, you don't. You've just got to get there, be you, be energetic, get that feeling connecting through the camera. Then there's a whole range of other things. I've got Pam coming along who does lots of great social media work, showing them how to put it and where to put it and what to do with it. And pretty well everything with there. But we start with the first thing, as we said earlier, belief in themselves. Who are they? Who do they have to become to stand out? Who do they have to become on camera to connect with their people? And then the next bits is how to do it and how to get it out there.
Well, if it's all right with you, I'll put a link to that. I don't know if you've got a landing page or anything for that yet, but I'll put a link in the show notes so people can go and check that out, because I think that'll be great.
That'd be great. Yeah.
I think it'd be great if people can get access to that. I know you're pretty busy and in demand, so if people want to get onto that, I would suggest you go to the show notes at businessbrainfood.com.au and just search for Corona Slingshot, and you'll find this episode. It's the strangest named episode I'm ever going to have.
Well, they'll remember it.
Absolutely. Corona Slingshot. So to summarize, the Corona Slingshot, before I do that, actually, you reminded me of a book. You were talking about the experience. Have you ever liked going to the dentist?
Why do you ask me that? Have you've been looking over my shoulder, and we're just talking about this the other night. My sister rang and said, I had my wisdom tooth out yesterday. I said, yeah. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. I had a great dentist in Queensland that when I went and got things done, they had the absolute experience beyond anything. I walked in and treated royalty. I won't go through the stuff, but I'm still talking about them. But the great thing was I sat in the chair and he handed me the nurse handed me a sheet. And I said, what's that? And they said, that's your menu. And I said, I'm not going to eat now. And he said, no, that's the music menu. You can pick whatever music you want to listen to. So I was there listening to David Bowie and the Eagles, sucking on laughing gas. And I thought, you know what?
Beautiful.
The only time.
So there's a book. So I like plugging books on this show so people can go and get, read up if you like reading. It's called The Happiness Centered Business. It may well be that dentist in Queensland, Dr. Paddy Lund. Have you heard of it?
No. Yep, the Green Apple.
Yep. So Dr. Paddy Lund wrote this book called The Happiness Centered Business. And inside his front reception counter, it was built out of an oven. And he used to cook dental buns. But what he learnt was that people didn't like the smell of a dental clinic. It's very, very, I don't know. Like it's very hygienic smelling or it could be sterilized sort of smell. And instead what he did was he knew people love the smell of baking bread. So he cooked buns every day in this oven in his dental surgery, which I thought was pretty cool. Anyway, the Happiness Centered Business.
Mate, talking about books and plugging books, what I did is took my book off, Exceed, and there's a workbook that goes with it, and sent out to all my people and even on social media. It was as a COVID gift. So I'll send that link across to you, and for your people, they can just opt in. They'll get the book and the workbook to go through a lot of what we've spoken to today, free.
How good is that? How good is that? So I'll make sure the show notes will be packed up anyway. So you can head to businessbrainfood.com.au, search for Corona Slingshot, and you'll find this episode, and all the links will be in the show notes for you to be able to get access to those things. And what we might do, for those of you that are watching this live on Facebook, we'll pop them into the comments below the video.
Yep.
So to summarize, Corona Slingshot is get some momentum now. So when this is all over, you're moving much faster than your competition.
Yeah, just get out there and accelerate your visibility, get more people talking about you, and really just, if you get that momentum now, you will slingshot out the other side and be so far ahead of your competition, they won't know which way you went.
Love it, mate. Love it. Well, thanks so much for coming onto the Business Brain Food podcast. It's always good chatting to you, my friend.
Mate, thank you so much. I love the work you do. I love the way that you work with your people. So anytime.
Thanks again, buddy. Well, if you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure you head across to your favorite podcast player, leave an honest review or rating. We do read them all. We love to get your feedback. And of course, if there's anything you think we can do better, you can leave that there as well. This episode was brought to you by Maxmyprofit.com.au. The team at Maxmyprofit is there to help you build the business you imagined. So if you imagined having a business that was more profitable, more fun, or maybe it just helped you, get through your life a lot easier than what it does, or maybe you're finding it a bit awkward and difficult, but you want something that's better, talk to the team at Maxmyprofit.com.au. They are there on standby waiting to help you build the business you imagined. All right, well, that's it for today's episode. Thanks again for tuning in. I've been Ben Fewtrell. You've been absolutely fantastic for tuning in till the end of the episode. Until next week, have a very profitable day. See ya. All righty, that's a wrap.
Good stuff.
And
that was
my friends on Facebook is how a podcast gets recorded.
a lot of fun for all of you out there in viewer land, not listener land, viewer land.
Absolutely. And I'd love to get the feedback on the Facebook Live, by the way. If you're watching this and you're enjoying this, getting it live streamed into the group, let me know. Because I'll keep making it happen, because I think it's a good way to give you a bit of exclusive content. You're getting this content early. And if you've got any questions for Steve, he's here live right now if you want to. We've still got a few of you watching. So if you want to...
give us a yell. I'll jump straight off and put the link in your message.
Yeah, if you want to pop it in, and
just for the book, they can grab that. They can start grabbing that now.
Yep. Yeah. So if you want to pop that straight into the Business Brain Food group underneath the video, go for it.
Okay. All right. I'll just get the link. Just do a quick note and say, hey, listen, here's